Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Welcome, peeps. How's your anxiety level doing these days? Does your nervous system need an elite upgrade? Join the club. Our guest today offers a compelling solution, craniosacral therapy. You're here with the crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast.
This is Camille.
This is Chandra.
This is Brenda.
And this is Lynn.
And our special guest is Stephanie.
Hello.
Dun, dun, dun.
Whoop, whoop. The expert.
The expert, our craniosacral specialist of the group. Specialist. I think we met Stephanie. I met Stephanie through our monthly spirit circles that we host here locally. She decided to take the leap and venture into one of them, and we haven't let her leave.
I would never leave.
we keep her coming back. And come to find out that she is an accredited and awarded massage therapist here in our area in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Yay!
Can confirm.
Confirm. And I think we've all at this point at least had one session.
I haven't yet. I've been scheduled and have to reschedule.
A scheduled session.
I can't wait though.
But most of us have already had at least a massage session with Stephanie, which is amazing. If you're here locally, please look her up. But also craniosacral therapy. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today because it's another rabbit hole for me. It's this Chandra, of course, it's going to be a rabbit hole for me. I find it very interesting. So Stephanie, give us a little bit of background about what is craniosacral therapy, especially to you, and what specifically you do.
Yeah. So thanks for having me, first of all. So craniosacral is considered a bodywork modality, and it is a modality that works with the nervous system. So we are all stressed. I mean, it's stressful to be a human at this time. And this is all life stress. It could be traumatic events. It could be PTSD. So anything that taxes our nervous system puts us into fight or flight. And so if we're in fight or flight too often, or something traumatic happens, our nervous system just gets out of whack. So craniosacral is a great modality to help our nervous system settle, help us to self-regulate so that when stressful things happen in the future, we can come down from that. So I've been practicing for about a year. So I just finished school in 2024. It was a 2-year program, and it was life-changing. Learning about the nervous system, learning about how to self-regulate so that I can help others to self-regulate. And that's really what the modality is. So in session, I'm holding the space for your nervous system to do what it knows how to do, which is self-regulate. It's a quiet session. It feels like a whole lot of nothing, right? So, yeah. So you guys that have experienced it, it feels like a whole lot of nothing because I may hold your head for 15 or 20 minutes. I may hold your feet. And we're just letting the body settle and letting Lynn's taking a picture of the dog and the child.
As one does.
Right. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
So when you're holding particular points, are you holding places on meridian lines or pressure points or
no?
Okay.
It's really about the physical body, and that I think there's something really profound in safe, nurturing human touch, right? There's some kind of magic in it. And so if somebody comes in and says, hey, my shoulder is hurting, I might go to the shoulder and hold that spot just to become aware of what's happening with the shoulder. But I don't have to. I can start at the feet. I can go to anywhere on the body. And we can also we don't have to touch the client. So there are some clients who maybe have had such a traumatic experience that,
that could be more dysregulating than it could help.
Correct. Yeah. So we can sense what we're paying attention to. There are rhythms in the body. We call them tides. And that's what we're paying attention to. So just like we can feel your heart rate, your respiration rate, we can feel those things. There are these motions in the body. We call it the breath of life. And whatever your faith belief is, it can fit into any of those beliefs. But the breath of life, our body is being breathed by something cosmic, right? Some people call it God. Some people call it the source. But we are being breathed, right? So there's this rhythm that is an inhalation and an exhalation. And there are different tides. And we pay attention to what we call the mid tide and the long tide. But there are many, many, many others. And I think there are these tides that are cosmic too, not just in our bodies, but in the planet, nature, the universe. There's these tides. And so when we can tap into them, it's this space that is very holy and divine. And that's where kind of the body heals itself in those moments.
So would you say it's a combination of what the client has told you they're there to work on? Like if they've given you an inclination of, here's what's bothering me, or here's what's going on in my mind, and here's, what I'm trying to release or heal or whatever, as well as the movement of energy in their body, their specific tides or rhythms. And you use the kind of like a combination of those two to kind of direct you of where you want to go on the body or where you want to, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but direct the energy that you're sharing with that client. Yep.
I'm glad that you mentioned the energy aspect because I do want to make a distinction. This is not considered energy work. So I'm not channeling energy or intending to affect your energy. I am holding the space for your body and your system to do what it knows how to do. I'm just reminding it that it has the capacity to do that, right? So in session, if somebody comes and says, this is stressful, this is the thing that's happened, or the experience that I have, or I have physical pain, I am aware of that, but what I'm looking for is the health in the person's system. So our focus in this work is not what's wrong, not the symptoms, not the illness, not the disease, not the stress, not the trauma, although we are aware of those things, but our focus is where's the health, right? And that is a paradigm shift because our society, our healthcare system, we look for what's wrong. Everything in our world is, okay, what's the disease? What's the symptom? What's the illness? What's wrong? What's going wrong here? Right?
And what pill can we throw at it?
Yeah. What can we fix? Right? And so we're not focused on what we can fix. We're focused on the health. Okay, where's the good stuff? Because when we focus on the health, everything can orient around the health. If we focus on the illness, the disease, the symptom, everything orients around the illness, the disease, the symptom, right? So we focus on the health, and that paradigm shift is what changes things, right? It's the perspective. It's what changes things. So in session, sorry, this is long-winded. I could talk for hours about this. So in session, when somebody comes with something specific, I'm aware of it and then also hold the space for the body to do what it knows how to do. And the body or the system has its own priorities. So what the client's priority is and what my priority is isn't necessarily what the body's priority is.
Well, and we say that also in certain areas of energy work, even though we don't necessarily consider this energy work. But I mean, that sounds a lot like in Reiki, we may be channeling energy for what the client has asked us to, but it's going to go where it's most needed. It's going to go to the place that needs the most healing, and is in its own infinite intelligence is going to do what's needed most first, and going to prioritize.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, in those ways, it sounds very similar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've noticed, because, I do energy work too, and I don't try to do any particular kind anymore, but I'll go and hold people like at their head or at their feet, and I feel like the pulsing, and I've always wondered what it was, but I never knew. I just figured, oh, it's their energy body that I feel moving. And so that's really interesting that you're talking about the tides, because it is kind of, and like their body is breathing and like the fluids are moving. It's like I feel that, but I've never heard it talked about in that way, that it's like the tide of our body.
You're probably feeling what we call the CRI, which is the cranial rhythmic impulse. So there are two different schools of craniosacral therapy. There's the Upledger Institute, which they're more kind of well known, and they do a lot of research, clinical research, and they are probably the ones that have made the name craniosacral kind of more common. There's another track called biodynamic craniosacral, and that's what I practice. The end result is the same, but the method of getting there is different. So both are incredible bodywork modalities. And so if you go to an Upledger versus biodynamic, the end result is the same. But the training is a different approach, right? So I do biodynamic. And so the CRI, Upledger Institute, they really focus on the CRI. And so in biodynamic, we focus on other tides. So that's probably what you're feeling is the CRI, because it's a little bit faster. It's a few seconds versus the longer tides, which are 30 seconds, a minute. There's even a 20-minute tide. So that's probably what you're feeling is that CRI.
That's fascinating to me, because I've always wondered what it was and I never knew. So that's so cool.
That reminds me of my craniosacral session with you, actually. So peaceful. And I was laying there, and after a few minutes, I thought, you're not breathing. You're not breathing. And I even said something to you like, am I breathing? And you said something about, oh, you're just a long tide, or, ooh.
Yeah.
So it was a trip.
Yeah. So it feels like a breath. It really does. And so it's the plates in your skull move. And so that's why craniosacral therapists, a lot of them will hold the head, because you can really feel the bones inhaling and exhaling. You can feel that expansion and contraction. And so, yeah, I think you were in the long tide for sure, which is a really slow, it's about a minute one way and a minute back.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's a really, I would say most clients end up in long tide at some point towards the end. And so it's kind of like this deeply restorative sweet spot.
It's kind of like the REM sleep of their session.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have any stories you can share with us with like clients and how it's helped them? Because I'm also curious about that. Like, I'm sure it has not just health benefits. I'm sure there's some like mental body benefits as well.
Yeah. I have two stories. One is a client came in to see me, and she was in some extreme physical pain. She actually came in for a massage. She walked in, I could tell she was in pain. And I said, what's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10? And she said, oh, it's about an 8. And I said, I don't think it's a good idea to do massage, because if you're that activated, massage can cause further harm or that pain to ramp up. I said, so we can either reschedule when your pain level comes down a little bit, or we can try craniosacral. And she was like, what's that? And so I, briefly told her, and she was like, I'll try anything. I'm here. I'm in a lot of pain. And I was like, okay, cool. She was in so much pain that she couldn't lay on her back. So we had to do a side lying position. And so I put one hand on her head and one hand on her sacrum and just held the spine for an hour. That's it. That's all I did. And at the end of the session, she might have fallen asleep. I can't remember. But at the end of the session, she got up and I said, how do you feel now? What's your pain level on a scale of 1 to 10? She said, it's a 2. She said, what did you do? And I said, I didn't do anything. Your body did it because your body knows how to do it. She was like, what is this? And I was like, girl, I don't know. It's some kind of magic. I was like, I don't know what this is. And it's so hard to explain to people because they're like, well, yeah.
But there's
how does it
you
work?
had to have done something.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me, what is the mechanism of it working? And I'm like, logical. I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. There's just some kind of magic in it. I can explain what I'm doing. I can explain my training. But at the end of the day, I still don't know what's happening. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. And the other story I have is a longtime client of mine that was coming to me for massage. And, she was really stressed out one day. And I said, oh, yeah, you should try craniosacral. It's great for stress. And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And so we tried it. And she had kind of this overwhelming experience on the table. And I believe what was happening is that her body and her system, her nervous system was coming down out of fight or flight. She had been in it for so long. And when she finally settled and her nervous system was resting, she didn't know what it was because she had not felt safe for so long, right? And so it was very overwhelming for her and terrifying. She was terrified. She was like, what is happening? She was like getting into this like panic attack because as she was coming down, she was like, what is this? What is this? And so, I was able to be with her and she took it like a champ and was like, okay, I'm here. I'm white knuckling it. I'm okay, And then she finally settled down and then realized like, oh, this is safety, right? Because she hadn't felt safe for so long.
Wow.
And so then we continued. She comes to see me sometimes twice a month for craniosacral. And she said, one of the last times we talked, she said, this has been so life-changing. She said, I have gone to every therapist. I've done EMDR. I have done brain spotting. I have done every single modality out there to help her process the traumatic things that she has experienced. She said none of it worked. All of it was triggering. It didn't help. And she said, this is the only thing that has worked. And one of the things that she was so grateful about the work is she didn't have to talk about her trauma. She didn't have to tell me what she had experienced. She didn't even have to think about what she had experienced.
Reliving it is hard.
Yeah. And so...
I mean, that's the thing about talk therapy and sometimes with EDMR.
Yeah.
EMDR,
whatever it is.
is you have to identify the thing. And if you have to do that first, you're automatically at a place where you're not going to release it right now.
Because it
brings it back. It brings it back in the moment. And
when I use this as an example with a lot of clients to sort of help them understand, more context. If, let's say you're in a car accident, a bad car accident, and 6 months later, you're driving down the road and you go through that same intersection, you immediately are just like, oh, you're afraid. That's your nervous system telling you this isn't safe, right? And so it's not just the car accident. It's, oh, this person yelled at me or, whatever situations that make us not feel safe. When we get in those situations again, our nervous system remembers because as a species, that's what that has let us continue as a species.
But the intersection example is a very good example because 90% of the time, you're probably not even thinking about that one incident that you had where you almost had the accident. It's kind of like it happened and it's gone and it doesn't affect you every day until you go through the intersection and until the circumstances, or you may go through that intersection every single day, but you'll go through it at some point where the circumstances around you are exactly right and you're going to relive it and it's going to bring it right back up. And that's when you're triggered. And,
and
that
that's
moment,
how incredible our nervous system is.
Exactly.
Because it's doing its job. And so when people come to me and they're like, I don't understand why my nervous system, I'm so stressed and I'm in fight or flight. Like, I wish I wasn't. And I'm like, but how incredible that our bodies do this to save us. Like, your body did its job.
Yeah.
How incredible is that? Now let's calm it down, right? But how incredible that your body did its job. That's what it's for.
It's why we exist.
Yeah.
Like you said.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend yesterday and she was talking about energy and how she'd had an experience that's happened to her several times when she was doing yoga, and she'd be in like a deep stretch. And I know this can happen on the table with people sometimes too. And she just started crying. She doesn't know why. So can you speak around that? Like, what happens because I know that happens during a massage sometimes. I know it happened whenever I was a massage therapist. And what do you think is happening during those times when people are having those emotional reactions?
Yeah, that's a great
releases?
question. So there's a fantastic book called The Body Keeps the Score. I'm sure some of you have read it. And it talks about how these traumatic experiences live in the tissue, get stuck in the body. And it's not an energy concept. It's our nervous system, for one. That's a big part of it. And so the book talks about how pairing talk therapy with somatic body work, which is what you were saying of the emotional release. And there's different ways to do that. So there's somatic yoga, somatic massage, craniosacral is considered somatic body work. There is a modality called somatic experiencing. So you can talk all day long and process emotionally and spiritually and mentally. But again, your nervous system is going to remember those things because that's its job, is to remember the bad stuff so we don't experience the bad stuff. And so it's remembering. And when we are in fight or flight, our body releases kind of a cocktail of hormones and chemicals to get the body ready to either run or to fight back physically, literally. And so that chemical cocktail kind of makes your tissue flex, right? Because I'm getting ready to punch you or I'm getting ready to run. So my muscles need to be ready. And so if we don't follow that natural release,
expel that
correct,
in the moment,
it gets stuck in the tissue. So that's the scientific explanation, right? And dogs have this incredible ability to literally shake it off. That's why dogs shake, is they're resetting their nervous system. So something that it stressed them out or they were triggered, dogs can be triggered. They shake. So we have either never had that ability or lost that ability. I'm not an anthropologist, so I'm not sure. Or I don't know who studies that, but we don't do that. Some people have realized this though, and like they turn to exercise so some people do release that, but if we don't, it's stuck there.
If you think about it, like in caveman days or in hunter-gatherer days, when there was a legitimate fear, and you did run, or you did go kill the animal so that you could have dinner. Like, you may have been afraid when the saber-toothed tiger came out of the bush, but you used that to have dinner.
And your nervous system,
so you expelled it.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, but I mean, that may have been why, in those times, why in community you would have fire and you would dance around the fire. Like, it might have been a collective way to shake off the day, right? And to reset, for everybody to reset in that kind of like somatic way together. Yeah. And we don't.
And so I think that's what's happening in yoga, in somatic massage and craniosacral. When there's an emotional release, the nervous system finally feels safe enough to let that go. And so really, it's all about feeling safe enough, right? That's why some of this stuff comes up and you're like, where did that come from? Your nervous system finally felt safe enough for that to come up. And sometimes we can't process those things when it happens at the moment and we push it down, right? Because it's not safe to let that out yet. And so when it's safe enough, that's when that stuff comes out.
And what do you think about the concept of like us carrying the wounds of our ancestors? Like if my mother experienced trauma, then I also can have that somewhere in my body.
Yeah.
So I may be releasing things that aren't even mine, but it still is releasing.
Yes, I have an excellent example of that. So I am seeing a mother and daughter separately, of course. And I have not spoken to either one of them about this because of HIPAA laws, right? So they don't know, but I can see, right? Their sessions mirror each other completely. So the same issues they have on certain parts of their body are the same places I go to, the same places they're having issues with. And not only that, but as things resolve and happen and change, and the sessions are exactly the same.
How crazy.
Which I did not realize because I had been seeing them separately. And then it just dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, I just did this with the mother. And so now there's resonance there, right? I didn't realize that it was, I think, an ancestor wound. So I think maybe a grandmother or a great grandmother. So I'm going to ask them about, hey, did something happen to your grandmother? Did something happen to your great grandmother? So their sessions mirror each other. And I think that it's an ancestral wound.
Well, let's see, but I mean, for argument's sake, let's just say that it was grandmother, that mother inherited something from grandmother, and then daughter inherited something from mother. Well, if mother inherited it from grandmother, then you also know that the dynamics between the two, that whatever was inherited is also going to influence the dynamics between the two. And they're probably going to keep on perpetuating and adding to and adding on. And
and they do.
Yeah.
That's the human story.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
But hopefully
That's fascinating.
As they heal, like at the same time, healing the same things, hopefully that will reverberate backwards.
We've talked about that so many times, that you're healing back up through the line too.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and doesn't that go back about 6 generations? Because we've talked about this before.
Yeah, there's so many certain generations.
There's so
that
many
you can
generations that you carry, because the fetus, when it's in the womb, develops eggs at 4 months in utero. So all of the trauma that the grandmother has, the mother has, and the daughter has, if it's like female. So, but I think that goes back 6 or 7 generations.
Wow.
It is wild.
Yep.
But makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
And I haven't said anything. I just been sitting here listening. This is Lynn, by the way, but I have had a craniosacral, and I 100% recommend it.
Oh, well, I've had lots of different energy works. And even though, and I've had cranios, I actually had first craniosacral session I ever had was in Sedona. It was at a spa, and it was wonderful and it was lovely. And I felt a lot lighter after that session, but I've never felt energy. And even though I know you're not technically trying to move energy, I've never felt energy moving in the manner that I felt it when I had my session with you.
Cool.
Same.
And you're probably tapping into those tides, right?
Well, and two, it's feeling safe enough with you to kind of let that stuff move as well. I feel like that's part of the situation too. You create a space where it's possible for that to happen. But yeah, it was amazing.
Cool.
So, Stephanie, it's been a delight. We're also going to have a second session with you shortly, but can you tell people where they can find you, where you work, if they're in the Winston-Salem area and would like to try a craniosacral or a massage with you?
Yes. So I work at MyoCare. We are a massage therapy center that focuses on medical massage. We also offer craniosacral. And so it's myocare.net. You can find me there. You can make an appointment. You can book online, and I would love to see you.
And she was also voted the #1 massage therapist in Winston-Salem recently. So I'm going to throw that in.
Royalty in the midst.
See you Wednesday, baby.
Yes.
All right, y'all. thank you so much for joining us. And we love you all. We hope that you're taking care of yourself. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, darlings.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.